How's it going, guys? It's the 1MFP here. We hear it all the time. Playoff hockey is different from regular season hockey. It's a different pace, it's more physical, it's a psychological game. What I think really separates playoff hockey from regular season is the fact that you play the same team from 4 to 7 games straight, whereas in the regular season you take games one game at a time. Now, that's not to say that in the playoffs you don't take games one game at a time. It is important to focus on the game you're playing so you actually win it before getting to the next step. But in the playoffs, you have more time to set your pace, to set your tone, to force the other team to conform to your game plan. I believe that makes the playoffs a war of attrition. Every series is a war of attrition. Teams have to be more cerebral than they have been in the regular season. And this is why you see players talking more during playoffs. You see them trying to get into other players' heads. You see coaches saying things they wouldn't normally say. You see GMs saying things they wouldn't normally say. It's all about getting into the other team's head. It's about knocking them off of their game plan. It's about shaking them a little bit. And this is why in my previous video regarding Game 1, I focused heavily on playing style, body language, momentum shifts. I believe those things can really help to make you observe a pattern, and if you could really establish that pattern, you could also observe shifts in pattern. And if you see whose pattern is shifting more, you could see who is being more effective. The Sens seem to already be losing this war of attrition. Now, I'm going to briefly talk about the slash itself. I don't really like talking about this type of situation because there are too many variables at play here. We don't really know the honest truth. But let me break it down like this. This is playoff hockey. A lot of things are said on the ice. A lot of little things happen on the ice that normally wouldn't happen in the regular season. We're talking about little slashes, little cross checks. Basically, it's a more dirty physical game on the ice. Now, this is nothing really new to playoff hockey. If you watched the Pens versus the Rangers last night, you saw Carl Hagelin getting slashed right above the hand in the same type of area Mark Stone got slashed. In this case, it was David Perron who did the slash. Carl Hagelin didn't go down, and that's why probably no penalty was called at all. And the difference with the PK Subban slash is Mark Stone went down and started rolling on the ice, so the ref was forced to make a call. You have to believe that if Mark Stone doesn't go down, there's no call, or PK Subban gets a 2-minute minor penalty. PK seemed pretty angry at the call. He didn't think he slashed Stone that hard. He probably thought that Stone was faking. And some people may have shared that opinion because Stone left the game, but he came back about 3 minutes later, and then you saw PK Subban throwing a fit in the hallway. But then Stone left again, and then he came back again, and he got in a scuffle at the end of the game. You have to wonder why the coach would put Stone on the ice in the final seconds of the game. It's one of his best players. He's potentially injured. You know there's going to be a scuffle at the end of the game, and that is exactly what happened. There was a scuffle. Stone threw a few jabs in there. It was a potentially very dangerous position for an injured player to be in. The only rationalization I could come up with is maybe the coach thought he was more healthy than he actually was. Maybe he thought Stone could contribute. He thought he could score a goal to tie up the game, or contribute to a goal at least to tie up the game in the final seconds. As a result of the PK Subban slash, we've seen a lot of shifts in attitude from the Ottawa Senators. We've seen their coach, Dave Cameron, come out publicly and say that if the league doesn't suspend PK, one of our best players is getting slashed, and they're only getting a 5-minute penalty. Now, if you ask me, that's a brain fart on his part, because now you know the refs will be observing the Sens players very closely, trying to call anything on them if they try to pull anything on the Habs players. Also, as a result of Dave Cameron's attitude towards this, you know that trickles down into his locker room and into the media. We've already seen Mark Stone, Kyle Turris, Chris Neil all address this. We've also seen Ottawa media sensationalize the situation. There's an article by Ottawa Sun with Chris Neil on the cover and a citation saying, "PK, keep your head up," in big font. I think we can all agree that that's a shock value article, but it is what it is. But the reality of it all is that the Sens are really putting themselves in a vulnerable position. They're digging themselves a hole. If they really take the route of being more physical and changing their game plan, they're putting themselves in a position to lose. It is a statement that they're making. They're saying that they couldn't keep up with the Habs in Game 1. They didn't manage to capitalize on their scoring chances. They didn't manage to take advantage of their numerous power plays to put them in the lead, in a lead that they could secure. And to be honest, after the PK Subban penalty, it was their major opportunity to take momentum and really run away with it. It was really their chance to dictate the pace. It was their game to win at that point in time. So the fact that they're worrying about the slash and not about how they played in light of their favorable situation, you have to believe that they are losing this war of attrition. You have to believe that the Habs got in their head, especially if they're going to change their game plan going forward. If the Sens deviate from their original game plan, if they get emotional on the ice, you know penalties will be called against them, especially after their coach Dave Cameron's comments. If this indeed does happen, all Montreal has to do is stick to their game plan, take advantage of power play situations, and in doing so, they are dictating the pace. As they're dictating the pace, the Ottawa Senators is forced to adapt, and in adapting, they also have to be careful and not to take penalties, because in taking penalties, they know they're either getting scored on or giving up a ton of momentum. So that's why I believe the Habs are at an advantage in this series, beyond leading the series 1-0. Simply put, they're winning the war of attrition. So that does it for this video. Enjoy Game 2, and go Habs Go!